Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back. And we're about to talk about a pretty interesting story. I don't know if it's interesting to you. I find it really interesting, very disturbing and disgusting, fascinating at times. But obviously, from the title of this video, you know exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about cocaine sharks. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you haven't heard about this. You know, this to me, when I heard about this, obviously, if you know this by now, that I love animals, I've had a fascination with animals ever since I was a kid. So I knew a lot, and I know a lot about sharks. I did not know about this. And when I heard about it, I obviously wanted to get more information about this. And the more I learned about this, the more disturbing this became, right? Because I believe as men, as human beings, we are the best things to ever happen to this planet. But at the same time, we also are the worst things to happen to this planet. And stories like this basically confirm exactly that because there are sharks and a huge number of them that have come to really be affected by cocaine. And it's not because cocaine naturally appears or you can actually find cocaine naturally out there. No, cocaine is manufactured by man. Now, for some context, for you guys to actually understand exactly why and how this happened, back in the late 70s and in the 80s, a huge part of the cartel's way of distributing their drugs came through boats off the waters of Florida and Central America, right? They would use boats, miniature submarines, and obviously they would fly over the water. And they would transport ton, a ton of drugs. And obviously, if you know the story, that back in those days, yeah, there was an epidemic. Like cocaine, heroin, all of this was just rampant, right? And what ended up happening, they created a huge task force, right, to obviously curb this, to try and see if they could actually slow down. Now they can't stop it, but they can slow it down. Now what would happen is, whenever these cartels would transport these drugs, whenever they would see the authorities, like the Coast Guard, they would dump all their stuff because, listen, if you're an illegal immigrant on a boat on the way to, if they catch you, you probably get, I don't know, slap on the wrist, taken back, deported. If they catch you with bills of drugs, you're doing 40 years, right? So they would instantly dump all of this stuff. And everything they did, now some of it was weighed down, meaning it would sink to the bottom, but a lot of it would float. Now, if you know anything about sharks, whenever anything is in their waters, they always try and investigate, right? And if you know another thing about sharks, if you splash, anything that splash, any weird noise on the water, even if it's on the surface of the water, to sharks, it's a dinner bell because it sounds like a fish that's struggling. Because fish are streamlined. Fish underwater don't really make a lot of noise. They're designed to really flow through the water without really creating a lot of disturbance underwater. But our sick or injured fish will struggle, right? So it's creating vibrations that these sharks can pick up and okay, this is something I can instantly, I can hone in on this because this sounds like a struggling fish, an injured fish, whatever it is. To a shark, it's a bell. So these sharks would investigate these floating items on the top of the water because they would hear the splashes, right? They would bite into them, and they're biting into cocaine. And over time, scientists, and I'm going to show you a video, scientists have realized that over time, these sharks, because they kept doing it, their cocaine has affected their brains. And now, essentially, that's what drugs do to people too, right? Drugs affect the chemistry of your brain. Everything is kind of rewired. That's why it's hard for somebody, because people always say, why can't somebody just quit? I've never really done drugs. It's hard to understand the mind of somebody who has, but what they always tell you is it's already so wired, the brain's been rewired, right? It's hard for them to just instantly quit. So imagine now we have complex brains. So imagine what it does to a shark. And that's essentially what these sharks have gone through. Their brains have been altered and changed. Now they've become extremely aggressive, right? They've become erratic because shark experts will tell you they can kind of predict certain things about sharks, right? Not these sharks. They're very unpredictable. You can't tell what's going to happen. And you're going to see a couple videos that really show you this. And again, this is because of us, right? We have done this. And it is so sad to see that, because there's so much that we've done, from deforestation, right? From oil spills on the water and even on land. There's so much that we've done, from air pollution and what we constantly and continually do to a climate. But it's reversible. That's the thing. Everything we've done, we can undo, right? Everything that we've done wrong, we can undo. We haven't gotten to that tipping point where we can't come back, right? It's not like an extinct animal, but once you're extinct, you're done, right? We're at a place where now scientists can store embryos and do whatever, you know what I mean? We can do things to reverse certain things. We can do that. So this is something we can undo. We can undo a lot of what we've done. We really can. And it's sad because you keep seeing stories like this, right? And you end up realizing, wow, we affect a lot on this planet. And oftentimes it's not good. What this story is basically telling you is, I don't know if you love animals, I don't know if you even love sharks, but the ecosystem relies on sharks. If these animals go extinct, if these animals become erratic, because think about it, the good thing is these particular sharks, these groups of sharks, happen to kind of congregate further out, not closer to shore. Now imagine if these sharks were closer to shore. Imagine the kind of havoc they would do, because they're pretty unpredictable. They would really hurt a lot of people. And human beings are reactionary people. We are reactionary creatures. What do you think would happen? Kill everything. Kill everything that moves. That's essentially what we do, but that's not the underlying cause of what's going on. Problem is, people have caused this. And to me, this is really disturbing and frustrating, because it's not like, this is not a story from the 80s. This is something that's happening now. These are sharks that are being studied now, right? And like I said, I'm always, if you know me, if you know anything about me, I'm always very hopeful. And that's why I'm saying it's not something we can not undo. Yes, we can. We can actually undo. And a lot of it is through education. Now, the sad part is these drug cartels, these whatevers, will always find ways to move their drugs, because where there's demand, there's supply. It's just whatever happens. So, I mean, you can patrol, you can do whatever you want to do to patrol and stop, but a lot of it comes through education. I always figure people can learn, there are stories, especially if you know anything about poaching, right? In the 50s and 60s, poaching was rampant in Africa. It really was. And ivory specifically, a lot of elephants were killed, because not only because of what the colonialists were they encouraged. There was a market that was created, right? And the natives became part of the became part of the problem, because they realized they can actually make money, get a revenue from this. So the colonialists were not the ones who were hunting them. They were the ones buying the ivory. So the natives were the ones killing the elephants. But over time, this has changed. Why? Because of education. I'm from Kenya. This used to be a huge problem. Like, I remember growing up, you would see piles of elephant tusks that have been basically procured from poachers, right? And then they would be burnt, right? They would be destroyed. But what ended up happening is they realized that you just can't do this. The best thing to do is educate. So they educated the natives. They made them understand that we need these animals. The ecosystem relies on elephants. They rely, you know what I mean? So they were able to understand that it's more important to preserve these elephants, to admire them, respect them, right? And find other ways to generate money off of the elephant's name. So carvings, all these, so they kind of redirected this. And this has made a huge, it's a huge impact. It's made a huge impact on poaching, because now it drastically declined by like 80%, 80 to 90%, you know? Now you can say it does happen. It doesn't happen as often as it did, and it doesn't happen to the magnitude that it did before because of education. So I believe if people were educated, if the right information went to the right people at the right time, this would change. So even this story, for some of you, this is new for you. For some of you, you've never heard about this. This is reversible. And through education, forward this video to people. There are tons of videos on YouTube about this specific topic. If this kind of resonates with you, if you feel like, you know what, yeah, there are petitions out there, things you can do to educate people, because this can really be reversed. And if not, I'm telling you, something bad can happen. Now, we haven't heard stories of people being mauled and whatever, but it will happen. If this keeps going the way it's going, it will happen. And I'm telling you, we are reactionary people. Bad things will happen. But you can't answer something bad with something bad, you know? So we have time to do this. Anyway, how about we watch a few videos as I wrap things up? And you see a few videos, you see exactly what I'm talking about, you see them. But I also encourage you, especially if you have HBO Max, go watch Cocaine Sharks. There's an actual episode from Shark Week from this very topic. Go watch it. It's about 40 minutes long. It will give you way more info than I have, but at the same time, it will shine a light on especially the problem that we face. Because again, I'm telling you, if this keeps going and we don't reverse this, bad things are going to happen, and it's going to be bad for everybody, including the sharks. Anyway, thank you for joining me on this incredible episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Like and subscribe, and maybe tell me in the comments what you thought about it. But in conclusion, let's just watch a few videos, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.
Now let's talk about something that could be Hollywood's next big hit. Cocaine Sharks. It may sound like another Jaws installment, but this is real. And swimming near the coast of Brazil. 13 sharks there have tested positive for cocaine. It's the first such study, and the results are quite dramatic. Now the question is, how did cocaine enter the bodies of sharks? Experts have a few theories, but all of them point to just one culprit: humans. Our next report explains.
It's a plot twist that would make Hollywood screenwriters blush. Sharks off the coast of Brazil have tested positive for cocaine. Yes, you heard that right, cocaine. These aquatic predators have taken a dive into the drug trade. Not as smugglers or victims of cartels, but as unwitting participants. It started when marine biologists tested 13 Brazilian sharp-nosed sharks. They were taken from the shores near Rio de Janeiro. What they find was literally jaw-dropping. High levels of cocaine were detected in all 13 sharks, especially in their muscles and livers. The concentration was a staggering 100 times higher than previously reported in other marine creatures. So what explains this? Does the world's apex predator have an addiction problem? Do they need rehab with motivational posters saying, "Just keep swimming"? Or is it something more? Now, experts don't know for sure yet, but they believe sharks are unwilling participants in Brazil's drug trade. One theory says the cocaine has made its way to the waters via illegal drug labs, or even the excrement of drug users. Other theories say cocaine lost or dumped by traffickers at sea could be the culprit. Either way, the sharks are consuming it, which could be potentially worrying. All the females in the study were pregnant, but it's yet to be seen how it will affect the fetuses. The scientists haven't noticed anything strange yet, but they believe it's affecting their eyesight. Now, this isn't the first time drug compounds were found in ocean water. Last year, benzoylecgonine was detected in samples taken off the coast of the UK. It's a byproduct of cocaine metabolism. Other sea creatures like crabs, shrimp, and oysters have had traces of cocaine, amphetamines, and MDMA in their systems. So it turns out that the ocean is becoming the world's largest drug den. But it's also a surreal reminder that human actions have far-reaching impacts, even on creatures we don't think we affect. These sharks are caught in a global environmental crisis. So next time you're enjoying a beach holiday in Brazil, don't worry about the sharks. They're probably more interested in their next fix than in you.